And apparently the fire must be stopped, not just for a few days, only to resume killing afterward. He is increasingly frustrated with leaders of both countries. He wants to see a permanent ceasefire. Well, I want him to stop shooting, sit down, and a deal with. President Donald Trump is reportedly on the brink of walking away from ongoing peace efforts between Ukraine and Russia, raising serious alarm in Kyiv and across Europe. Speaking to the reporters on April 28th, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that the president is frustrated with both the leaders.
He is increasingly frustrated with leaders of both countries. He wants to see a permanent ceasefire. I understand Vladimir Putin this morning offered a temporary ceasefire. The president has made it clear he wants to see a permanent ceasefire first to stop the killing, stop the bloodshed. And while he remains optimistic he can strike a deal, he's also being realistic as well.
European and Ukrainian officials speaking to the Financial Times on April 28 said that Trump may use minor gains in talks as justification to exit negotiations, a symbolic move marking his 100th day in office. One European diplomat warned that Trump was setting up a situation where he gives himself excuses to walk away and leave it to Ukraine and us to fix. Trump entered the White House promising to end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours. It has now been 100 days, and the U.S. seems to be walking away from its promise.
Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled. It will be settled quickly. I will get the problem solved, and I will get it solved in rapid order. And it will take me no longer than one day. I know exactly what to say to each of them. I got along very well with them. But that's a war that should have never been allowed to start. And Biden could have stopped it. And Zelensky could have stopped it. And Putin should have never started it. Everybody's to blame.
The U.S. president has been trying to pressure Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but his efforts have hit a wall. American-Russian President Vladimir Putin has rejected key demands, including post-war guarantees for Ukraine's military sovereignty. Putin's limited offer of a 3-day ceasefire from May 8th to May 10th also failed to inspire trust with previous pledges broken. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio described this week as critical, suggesting that if no significant headway is made, Washington may reduce or suspend its mediation role. Rubio also publicly dampened the prospect of further sanctions, despite Trump's earlier threats to impose new penalties on Moscow. Though Trump praised Zelensky during their recent meeting at the Vatican, his erratic stance continues to unsettle Ukrainian officials. After initially expressing support on Truth Social, Trump backtracked through Rubio, fueling suspicions that he is preparing to step away. U.S. President Donald Trump has claimed he is saving Ukraine, but stopped short of committing to further military support or backing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, fueling fresh doubts over America's long-term role in the war effort. In an interview published by The Atlantic on April 28th, Trump offered a vague but revealing response when asked whether Russian actions might push him to take a firmer stand with Kyiv. Not necessarily on Zelensky's side, but on Ukraine's side. Yes, but not necessarily on Zelensky's side. I've had a hard time with Zelensky. You saw that over here when he was sitting right in that chair when he just couldn't get it. Pressed on whether he would ever show full-blown support for Ukraine by approving more weapons packages, Trump declined to give a direct answer. Instead, he doubled down on his claim that his approach is ultimately in Ukraine's best interest. I think that nation will be crushed very shortly. It's a big war machine. I think I'm doing a great service to Ukraine that I believe that U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, speaking separately on April 29th, was more blunt in his assessment, warning that Ukraine can't win the fight on its current trajectory, underscoring internal divisions within the Trump administration over future support for Kyiv. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in his the 20th of April nightly address, pushed back against Russia's proposal for a symbolic ceasefire. Kremlin leader Vladimir Putin had announced plans for a short-term truce beginning the 8th of May, a move Zelensky dismissed as insufficient and performative, which did not stall as early as March 11th. We responded positively to the American proposal for a complete ceasefire. We also made our own proposal bilaterally to Russia to halt strikes, at least on civilian targets, at the very least on them. We also proposed to establish a complete ceasefire and extend it for 30 days over Easter. Russia has consistently rejected all of this and manipulated the world, trying to deceive the United States. Now, once again, there's another attempt at manipulation. For some reason, everyone is supposed to wait until May 8th and only then cease fire in order to provide Putin with silence during the parade. We value human lives, not parades. That is why we believe the world believes that there is no reason to wait until May 8th. The fire must be stopped, not just for a few days, only to resume killing afterward. An immediate, complete, and unconditional ceasefire for at least 30 days to ensure it is guaranteed and reliable is what can provide the foundation for real diplomacy. Kyiv is already preparing for a possible U.S. pullout, stepping up domestic arms production and intensifying security talks with European allies. Meanwhile, Russia hardened its stance on April 28th, with Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov insisting that international recognition of Moscow's annexation of 5 Ukrainian regions must be part of any deal. Diplomats now believe Trump may be pushing Ukraine to cede territory, such as Crimea, in return for peace, a move that would upend post-W2 norms if the U.S. does pull back. Europe will be forced to fill the vacuum, both militarily and financially, the Kiel Institute reports. Europe has already provided $157 billion in aid to Ukraine, slightly more than Washington's contribution. But the U.S. still dominates military support and advanced weapon supplies. The possibility of a total U.S. ban on weapons and technology transfers to Ukraine is especially concerning. Such a move could bar European countries from passing on American-made equipment, including air defense systems like the Patriot. That Ukraine's air defense relies heavily on U.S. systems. The Patriots, capable of intercepting hypersonic Russian missiles, protect vital Ukrainian infrastructure. Zelensky recently requested 10 more Patriot batteries, a request Trump dismissed, saying, "You don't start a war against someone 20 times your size and then hope that people give you some missiles." France and Italy have supplied Ukraine with its disarm systems, but experts say quantity is the issue, not quality. The U.S. defense industry scale simply cannot be matched by Europe overnight. A full U.S. exit could also include cutting off critical satellites, surveillance, and real-time intelligence support, a vital edge for Ukraine in tracking Russian troop movements and launching long-range strikes. The Trump administration already trialed a brief suspension of intelligence sharing earlier in March, hoping to pressure Kyiv into a ceasefire. Experts warn that such moves could cripple Ukraine's battlefield awareness, with the possibility of a fractured NATO's response and diminishing U.S. involvement. Europe is confronting a grim reality. The West's most powerful ally may no longer be willing to stand by Ukraine and could actively obstruct others from doing so. Whether Trump follows through on his implicit threats remains to be seen. But Ukraine and its allies are now urgently exploring how to survive and support the war effort. In a post-America scenario,